Welcome back to part 2 of the Winter Understanding Alchemy series. In this series, we are taking time to go within ourselves, to bring healing to ourselves, cleansing, nourishment, and renewal to ourselves. And the theme of this video, of this expansion session, will be to depattern and break up unhealthy patterns around holding space for ourselves, so that way we can have that inner harmony within ourselves, to know when to take the initiative, have that self-leadership, to be able to speak out loud or within ourselves, to know when it's time to take space, to hold space for ourselves. Which holding space for ourselves is really like knowing like when you need to take care of yourself, of your inner child, of whatever part within you in the psyche that needs that care or attention, taking space for that, and knowing when and how to show up for yourself, which could look anything like, oh wow, I'm working through these really big emotions of grief that are coming up for me in therapy, or perhaps grief as you're going through like a partnership breakup, or grief as you're going through a friendship breakup, and maybe you're in partnership and that grief is kind of spilling into the partnership. Knowing when and how to take space for that could look like going for a walk in nature and talking to the trees and taking it to Mother Earth, or it could be going into Grandmother Ocean and bathing yourself with that healing salt water and screaming underwater and creating that safety in the water to let loose the painful waters within, because emotion is technically considered like the element of water in like dream psychology and in a lot of different modalities and belief systems throughout the world. So going into the ocean and screaming underwater, kicking underwater, punching underwater, releasing the anger that sometimes comes with grief in that way. Or maybe it's simply just sitting outside with your cup of coffee, listening to the birds chirp instead of sitting on the couch. Maybe you just need like a little bit of the fire element and the sun and fresh air and the songs of birds to help rekindle your heart and relight your inner soul song. It could be taking time to journal, taking time to tap. It could be showing up for sessions like this, or going to community settings where they have maybe like a Reiki trade going on or something. There's many ways that we can show up and hold space for ourselves without taking out all of our ish on the people around us that are part of our support system. And as we show up for ourselves in this way, it creates the neural pathways and the energy pathways for us to feel safe repeatedly showing up for ourselves, to the point that like those fears of like abandonment no longer have the hold that they once had on you. For example, for me, with holding space for myself, I had to work through a lot of abandonment wounds. And with the abandonment wounds, it took me time and repetition to finally cultivate that inner safety to hold space for myself. So with all of that in your awareness, we're now going to proceed forward with this energy expansion session. And this is going on live now. However, it will be up for replay for the collective to access in the winter time, as you really like refill your cup in alignment with the season of winter, which is all about going within and nourishing yourself, so that way you have the energy for springtime and summer activities that are aligned with your soul. And so we're first going to start this expansion with a technique called spring cleaning. It is a mental exercise, and it's basically a self-actualization technique where basically, in short and simple and concise statements, you and another person will set up a spring cleaning container. The one person who's cleaning, they will say what they have on the topic. So in this case, we're going to say, what do you have on holding space? And then the other person's, and you're going to be thinking of, what do you have on holding space for yourself? Not for others, but for yourself. We can't even hold space for others till we can hold space for ourselves. So you're going to say, what do you have on holding space? And the person that's cleaning would be like, I don't even know how to hold space for myself. Thank you. What do you have on holding space? What is holding space for myself? Or something like that. And you're just going to actualize and get it out, because the more that you actualize, whether in like community or even with like your higher power, because you can spring clean by yourself out loud with your higher power, the more you actualize, the more it declutters your mental body, which in metaphysics, we have multiple bodies. It's not just the physical. We have the physical body, emotional body, mental body. And depending on your school of thought, we have the etheric body as well as the energy body and the causal bodies and then spiritual bodies and so on and so forth. So this helps clear out the mental body, which then makes more space for regulation to come into the physical body. And in a sense, spring cleaning also does work for the emotional body. You can also do somatic practices to more fully support your emotional body, like yin yoga or like dancing things out with intention. So we're going to start with spring cleaning, and we have a lovely volunteer who is going to be the spring cleaning surrogate as well as the surrogate for this energy session. And what you can do as we do the spring clean, we're going to do it for a couple minutes. You can either watch and then go back, or you can pause. Obviously, if this is live, you can't necessarily do that, but if you revisit in the wintertime when this is available, you can. You can pause and then insert your answer, or you can just set the intention that your answer just go into the container that this session is. And then after we do the spring clean, it is advised to go from sitting as if you are in a spring clean to lying down as if you are receiving energy work on a table or a healing mat. And then the energy work will begin, and throughout the session I might ask you to do a breath to like discharge any heavy energy so it doesn't stick to myself or to you. And what that means when I say go ahead and discharge is go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose, hold for a couple seconds, letting everything accumulate, and then exhale out through your mouth, out through your feet, shedding as like little sand particles to Mother Earth, where the earth dragons will assist in transmuting anything that is released in this container to serve Mother Earth's highest good. So anytime I say discharge, just do that breathing technique. These sessions sometimes go quite deep. They can go into some really nitty-gritty areas where you might fall asleep during the session, and you might have to revisit and try actively to stay awake. It's okay if you do fall asleep. That's what the body sometimes does in order to receive the energy work that it knows is most aligned for at this time, and it takes the thinking mind out of the way, right? Let's see. The sessions start with a spring clean, and then we'll start with a little bit of hands-on, and then we'll move into the outermost side of the energy field. And then we'll be working with aromatherapy, possibly flower essences, possibly not, and a myriad of tuning forks. Some of them are weighted, so you might not hear the tuning forks on the audio, but it doesn't mean that they're not being received by your energy field. We'll also be working with sound bowls, which you will hear. And then every now and then I might come into an area that's kind of sticky, and if I say, oh, we're in a sticky spot, it is suggested that either out loud or within yourself, you go ahead and just think of and actualize and process what's coming up for you in that sticky spot. And then usually that's enough to get the energy moving. And I think that's all I have for you for now. Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and do the spring clean. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and then we're going to do 2 minutes and one pull. One pull meaning this is your last chance to get something out before the container of the spring clean closes. And we're going to spring clean on the topic of holding space for yourself, but we're going to shorten it to holding space just because this is on a timer. Alright, Christopher, are you ready to begin your spring clean on holding space with the focus on holding space for yourself for a total of 2 minutes and one pull?
Yes.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have a lot to learn.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
It is very difficult at times.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
It gives me anxiety.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have resentment.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have disappointment.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I am very judgmental towards myself.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have a fear that I am doing it wrong.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have disappointment.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
It gets overwhelming to just think about holding space for myself when I'm overwhelmed. Yeah.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have a want to not do it at times.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have a lot of resentment towards just relaxing.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I feel it is difficult to ground myself sometimes and be in my own space.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have tendency to put other people's needs in front of mine.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I enjoy going to the beach at night.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I have disappointment when I don't always hold space for myself in the best way.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I understand that there's a lot of room to grow.
Thank you. What do you have on holding space?
I feel like I reject myself.
Thank you. This concludes your spring clean on holding space. Would you like to close with a trinity?
Yes.
So a trinity is basically you went into the spring cleaning container and you went into those nitty gritties. So you want to pull out and have a celebration and presence around some of your wins so you don't get sucked into the container. Alright, so we'll start with a brag, which is something you're celebrating in life. What do you brag?
I brag that even though it is difficult to hold space for myself, that I do hold space for myself at times and it makes me feel good.
Well bragged. And the next part of a trinity is a gratitude, so something that you are grateful for. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful that the beach is so close to where I work, so that after work I can go to the beach at night and hold space for myself to have a place to unwind and relax.
Beautiful, gratitude. And then the last part of the trinity is a desire, so something that you're seeking to manifest in regards to like the intention or the topic that was spring cleaned on or the intention of this session.
I desire that I get better at regulation when I'm overwhelmed and just letting things flow off of me and not taking them personally.
And so it shall be, or something even better and better than your wildest dreams. Alrighty. So he is going to go ahead and get situated on the table. And then I'm going to start us with a round of sound bowls. The sound bowls that we will be using today are the root chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus, and the heart chakra. It's really important when we're holding space for ourselves to have our lower chakras stabilized. So the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus are the first lower chakras, and they are essential for the rest of the chakras to stack together. And if those are taken care of, then it makes way for the heart chakra to feel more open and receptive to holding space for ourselves and receiving that self-love and that soul love that comes from taking time to hold space for ourselves. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the bowls. And as I do the bowls, go ahead and just breathe the sounds into your body and imagine anything that you're releasing exhaled out of your body as like clouds of smoke. It could be colored smoke, it could be white smoke, black smoke, red smoke, green smoke, however feels best. going to go ahead and use this spray. It's a mixture of juniper and sage, and juniper is really excellent for releasing things that we don't want to carry anymore, releasing ish from other people. Sage, a lot of people use for protection, but it's also really great for connecting with emotional wisdom, the emotional wisdom of earth and the emotional wisdom of earth within. So we're just going to kind of set that into the energy field to have the plants work with us in this way. I'm also going to work a little bit with the essential oil of cedarwood to help create more grounding in this space. It would come out of the bottle. So as he breathes this in, it's as if your energy field is receiving these grounding energies from cedarwood, and then as I anoint it on the body, it's as if your body is being anointed with cedarwood. And go ahead and discharge through your feet, breathing in through your nose, holding for a few seconds, and exhaling out through your mouth, releasing everything out through your feet to Mother Earth. Any anxiety, any nerves, anything coming up for you at this time. And now we're going to go ahead and start with a little bit of Reiki around the head just to calm the mind, to help relax into the body. If you're not laying down at this point, it's a good time to go ahead and go from sitting to laying down so that you can go into receiving mode. Do a discharge breath. Breathe in your nose for a count of 7. Hold for a count of 2. And breathe out through your nose for a count of 8. Hold for a count of 2. And return to normal breathing. And right now we're utilizing Reiki over the eyes, helping remove any clouds over the eyes that make it really hard to regulate or see yourself with compassion and care and deserving of self-care. And now we are utilizing Reiki over the ears, helping remove little energy clouds from the ears that might get in the way of you hearing your inner wisdom, guiding you to practices that would benefit you the most as you learn to hold space for yourself or deepen your practices to hold space for yourself. Also making it easier to hear your inner leader so that they can self-lead you into a safe space for yourself during times of stress or turmoil or chaos or whatever it may be. And we're using the sound of snapping to break up any clouds around the mind, any brain fog, any mental tension. And then a little bit of Reiki on the shoulders, bringing in the support of the universe to both the masculine and feminine sides of the body. A lot of times it's really hard for us to support ourselves if we feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It's really easy to get caught up in the weight of the world instead of setting that down and tending to our inner garden. So just bringing in energy to support self-support. Go ahead and do a deep breath in through your nose and discharge out through your feet, out through your mouth. Good. We're going to go ahead and work with the Earth Star Chakra tuning fork, which is a weighted fork, so you won't really hear it much. However, I invite you to allow your curiosity to explore and feel into what you do feel in your body as we work with the Earth Star. Sounds like there's a lot of noise in the Earth Star, like a lot of energy trying to discharge and leave the body, but getting congested and confused, and just needing a little energetic support to continue on its way out in a healthy energy circuit flow. There's a sense of being like in fight or flight or freeze mode and not knowing which way to step, which way to go, feeling like uncomfortably rooted into an unsafe space. Go ahead and do a discharge breath. Now we're going to go ahead and work with the soul star chakra, which is right above the head. As we are working with the soul star, envision a waterfall of liquid gold just pouring over the entirety of your energy field, cleansing away that which gets in the way of you holding space for yourself, and bringing in strength to the energy field and a remembrance of your inner strength as well. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and check what part of the energy field we're going to work in to assist in depatterning these unhealthy patterns that get in the way of us holding space for ourselves. And we're going to work with the 174 tuning fork, which works on a deep cellular level to promote healing. So first I'm going to check the chakras and see which side of the body to go in once the body indicates what entry point it would like for us to enter through. So the body is going to have us enter through the left side of the sacral. The left side of the body has to do with the feminine, and the sacral chakra has to do with a lot of things. It has to do with sensuality, sexuality, creativity, the emotional body, our relationship with money, which this makes sense that we're being guided to go in through this entry point because a lot of the times when we have fears around money or we're experiencing like creative blocks because there's like a lot of stress going on in our household or in our work environment, it makes it really, really difficult for us to hear our inner leader and then to take aligned action to go and hold space for ourselves. Which the more that we hold space for ourselves and like fill like our spiritual cup and our pleasure plate with practices that really light us up, the more everything in our outside world lines up in a way that is enjoyable to us. So it's really, I can see why we're going in through the sacral. And the sacral also has to do with the emotional body, which again, emotion is like water, which we're working with water quite a bit actually because you can't tell, but we're wearing a blue shirt with a lobster, which has to do with the water element. And then the makeup that I chose to wear today is dolphin colored and blue whale colored. So we have a lot of water element already showing up at the table. And it's really interesting because each of these sea creatures, they go to different depths in the ocean, right? I'm not sure about lobsters, but I know whales and dolphins travel in pods and they have a strong sense of community. And it's really important for us to honor our inner community of all of our inner parts, like our inner child, our inner mother, our inner warrior, our inner father, and all the many archetypes within us. It's really important to go within and take care of those places within us so that way we can show up in our outer communities with more grace and compassion after having treated ourselves with that same grace and compassion. So we're going to go ahead and start on the left side of the sacral and see what comes up. So right now I'm going to enter the energy field on the outermost side of the left side. The further out I am, the further back in time we have gone. The outermost side of the energy field has to do with when we were born, childhood, our early years. The closer we get to the body, the closer we come to our current point in time. ahead and do a discharge breath. And what the tuning forks do is, I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but if there's distortion in the energy field, it's going to sound different than the pure tone that it is designed to play at. And so what happens is the organizing intelligence of the body is listening to basically the distortion in its energy field as the tuning fork plays it back to the body. And then the body begins to self-tune or automatically tune itself back into an optimal frequency that supports the intention set for the session. Go ahead and do a discharge breath. So the fork is kind of shaking in my hand right now, which tells me that there's a lot of fear and anxiety. This is at a very early age. And that's very shrill, so that tells me like panic. There's like a sense of fear and looking around in confusion, not really knowing what's going on. This could be anywhere in the early years, really from like newborn to like age 5. If any of y'all were preemies or had emergency hospital visits with extended stays when you were younger, that could be something that the fork is working through at this time. And basically what the fork is doing is, as it breaks through these energetic tangles, it then magnetizes those little photons that got shed over the years of light that are you, little photons that just like shed under stress or big emotions that were hard to process, and it magnetizes them back. And then as we get closer to the body, the little bundle on the fork gets bigger of energy, and then we redeposit that energy into the energy center that we are working with at that time. And then the organizing intelligence of the body decides where to distribute this newly retrieved energy that is yours. So it's like you're receiving like lost parts of yourself back to you through doing this kind of work and holding space for yourself in these ways. Go ahead and do a discharge breath, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth and feet. If you feel like you need to wiggle or move your body a little bit, you can. If you find your body wants to make any noises, that's completely fine. The body enjoys somatic releasing because then it makes space in the body to have less chaos in the nervous system and in the fascial tissues. Science has said that emotions are energy in motion, so when our emotions get stuck in our fascia or our nervous system, the energy is no longer in motion and it creates energetic pile-ups. So as you move or make sounds or breathe, you're little by little clearing out those pile-ups, just like they do when a car accident happens on the freeway. Right now we're in another fear spot. It feels very fight or flight. Also feels like the energy of like go, go, go and hustle and bustle. people pleasing, learning to do so from a young age. This feels like a time in life where it was like adolescence, middle school maybe. Maybe trying to fit in and doing things that didn't necessarily go with what is true to you to fit into certain social circles. Now the sound feels really faint, whatever that means to you. Kind of ponder and play with that. Kind of makes me think of like taking a moment to relax and then jumping to get up and go again because you caught yourself relaxing. And like a sense of shame, either self-shame for having emotional needs or being shamed by others for having emotional needs. Go ahead and do a deep breath in through your nose, and this time hold it for 3 seconds. Exhale out through your mouth for a count of 10. Slowly exhale. Do that 2 more times. And if you are unable to do that kind of breath work, the volunteer that we have today can surrogate and do that for you. So now we're getting closer to the body, and this part of the body in biofield tuning is known as the ancestral river. So this would be the ancestral river of the mother's lineage, of your mother's lineage. And the ancestral river, basically when you stick the fork in the river, which is what we're doing now, it puts coherence back into that river. It shows where there has been non-coherence and distortion in the family tree with behaviors and actions and all kinds of stuff. And it helps the ancestral river auto-tune and correct itself. Sometimes we'll get a lot of information in this spot, sometimes we don't, but the ancestral river still shifts. And sometimes when we're working in the ancestral river, we'll notice that our relationship with whichever side we are working on, in this case the mother's side, will shift. Where healthier conversations can happen or self-healing can happen for both parties. It's really powerful to work in this spot because many of us are in the midst of generational healing and cycle breaking, and this can help in that. Which right now I think of like ancestors and how back in the day people had to work so hard and had so many, like I'm thinking of women, had so many household duties, they didn't even really know how to hold space for themselves because they were busy trying to raise children, and that could make the mother very exasperated and frustrated, and if that wasn't worked out of her body, that ended up getting passed on to her descendants, the next of kin, and then that gets in the way of the now being able to hold space for yourself. And while our mothers and grandmothers might have been great leaders in running households, it doesn't change the fact that there's still that need for self-leadership and running the household of our physical vessel by creating safety in our nervous system, in our energy body, in our emotional body. And so as we stay in this space for a little bit, it helps Send healing both forwards and backwards in time for the ancestors. Discharge. There's also a sense of like shame around depedestaling ancestors. This could either be from you or from an ancestor that we're working with in the river. Go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose, exhaling everything heavy out through your feet, through your mouth. There's also like this shame of like ancestors not knowing why they were so frustrated with life when they were living a life where they weren't really able to hold space for themselves, and then that frustration getting passed on, and then getting frustrated that here in the now we need space for ourselves. It also makes me think of religious programs that have people think they're always supposed to be giving to people and communities and everybody else but themselves, and how that's carried on generation to generation. So then it activates this guilt within us that we're not giving back to the community, we're not taking care of everybody else's needs. We don't always know where this guilt comes from, but sometimes it's inherited and it's really outside of our control until it's in our awareness, which now it is. And through speaking on it and actualizing, coherence is able to be brought into those spaces and harmony. Go ahead and discharge. Now we're going to come out of the ancestral river. So now we're like pretty close to the body, which means anything coming up now is going to be stuff relevant to like your current point in time. Make sure that as we're working through heavy energy that you're discharging so the energy stays in motion. If you find that you fall asleep, that's okay. The organizing intelligence of your body and your soul can help in moving things along. It is suggested to come back and listen to this a few times just to stretch this work even further within yourself. And it's also suggested to listen to the first video if you haven't, because that is a video that creates safety in the nervous system. Which if we have safety in our nervous system, then it's easier for us to come and hold space for ourselves. Right here, the fork is shaking and it tells me there's a lot of anxiety. Fear. There's also a sense of not feeling good enough or worthy. Which then if we're anxious and scared and don't feel good enough or worthy, it makes it kind of difficult for us to think and act accordingly to where we can go within ourselves and put love into those spaces that feel unworthy or scary. There's a sense of indigestion and like struggling to digest current aspects of life, whether it be starting a new job, maybe becoming new parents, maybe having a sour feeling in your stomach because you ended a friendship because it just wasn't aligned, struggling that somebody might have recently passed away. Discharge. Now we're going to go ahead and deposit that energy into the sacral. Basically, the energy slides off the fork back into the sacral where it is redistributed toward its most of benefit. I'm going to stay with the fork for a little bit as the energies mix, helping support them in finding harmony and healthy energy and alignment within. My body's getting extremely hot, which tells me the energy is being received. Sometimes after getting really hot, you might get really cold. Now we're going to go ahead and bring that energy that we brought back and mixed together with our real-time energy. We're going to column that up to source, so that way we can connect all this energy work to the present point in time with source energy. Alright. So go ahead and take a deep breath in for a count of 4. And then hold for 4. Exhaling out through your nose for 4. And then holding for 4. And then return to normal breathing. In this way, our breath is circulating the energy, and we're going to check and see if there's any other entries that we need to go in, or if this suffices. Leave it at that. I'm going to go ahead and balance the chakras a little bit with some Reiki and then do some grounding just to help everything come together. So we're going to work with the sacral. We're also going to work with the heart, helping them balance. They do have an energy circuit that weaves back and forth. So connecting the lower chakras with the heart space, which connects with the upper chakras, making it easier to hold space for ourselves from a place of love, the love of our souls, the love of our high hearts, helping us tend to our emotional bodies with love, and also helping us reconnect with creativity and the love that we have or have had with different creative activities in life. Creativity can be very nurturing and a very safe space to go when in need of processing big emotions or life changes. And then we're going to balance the solar plexus and the throat chakra so that we can speak from our place of power, from a place of true power, as we assert boundaries that we might need, like, hey, I'm feeling extremely dysregulated right now. I need to go take like an hour to ground myself and get right before I continue this conversation with you. And then following through with that and having that self-leadership to take time for self, right? Versus, hey, I really need to take time for myself. I'll get back to you when I feel better. Like, that's very disempowered and it's not respectful to yourself or to the other party, right? Or any other ways that this might come up. So going into the solar plexus and the throat, which the inner child does have a lot to do with the solar plexus. Go ahead and do a deep breath in for a count of 7 through your nose. Hold for 3. Exhale out through your nose for 7. Holding for 3 at the end of the exhale. Do this 2 more times. In for 7 through the nose. Holding for 3. Exhaling through the nose for 7 and holding for 3. Good. And now we're going to go ahead and balance the root and the crown, connecting the lower chakras with the upper chakras. Also envisioning that these energies are cycling through the back side of the body. So running like this through the back side, creating a circuit of energy. And as you hold that visualization, you can picture gold as the circuit. Gold is a very healing color. White Dragon Reiki, helping burn off any platforms or psychic pollution, clouding up the roots. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and ground. And as we ground, go ahead and picture yourself drawing in the healing energy of Mother Earth, bringing her energy up through your feet, through your shins. Envision Mother Earth's soil and sand and clay, and tree systems, and mycelium systems, and flowers and shrubs, bringing healing to different aspects of your body. Some of y'all might have plant allies, and some of y'all might be new to plants, but I promise you there's a plant willing to work with you. Allow those plants to come and bring healing to these spaces, and as they bring healing, allow them to ground you, drawing in Mother Earth's energy through your feet, through the webbing of your toes, your ankles, the tendons and ligaments in the ankles, envisioning anything that no longer serves you, anything that causes you to feel unsafe and ungrounded, releasing out through the bottom of the feet as sand particles that then drop to Mother Earth, and the earth dragons transmute them. Breathing in that earthly energy through the knees, back sides of the knees, the front and back side of the thighs, the inner and outer parts of the thighs. Drinking in Mother Earth's energy through the hip sockets, the front and back of the pelvis, the tailbone, the root chakra. Moving your body if you feel called to help you ground and be present. Continuing to draw in Mother Earth's energy to the stomach, the intestines, the liver, the colon, gallbladder, kidneys, adrenal glands. Stomach, heart, lungs, rib cage. All of the vertebrae of the spine, supporting the spine and being confident and taking time for self from a place of empowerment and from a seat of power. Breathing in that earth energy through the shoulders, allowing earth to support you and help you feel supported during times of dysregulation. Going through the arms, the elbows, forearms, the wrists, maybe circling your wrist, allowing sand particles to fall out of your hands, discharging stuff from your hands to Mother Earth, letting go of things that have been hurting you, that you've held on to for too long. Hands have to do with the heart chakra, and they are extensions of the heart. They also have to do with manifesting our destiny. Sometimes it's really hard for manifestations to come through if we're holding on to stuff that's not aligned with what we're calling in. Really working Earth's energy through the webbing of your fingers, your fingernails, your hands, your wrist, maybe gently massaging your hands. Mother Earth's energy goes through your neck, goes through each tooth and each little root system of each tooth, Bringing healing to the teeth, bringing healing to the ancestral lines, bringing healing to the parts of our soul that have been in separation from unity, consciousness, and love, and source consciousness. Bringing that earth energy to the tongue, the sinuses, the nose, each ear, each eye, the eyebrows. Breathing her energy into our brains, all those unexplored places in our brains, all the explored places in our brains. Bringing in earthy energy to help us ground. Envisioning tree roots dropping out of the brain all the way down to Mother Earth. If y'all are familiar with mangroves, they have very interesting tree roots. That's what I'm seeing is a mangrove tree helping the brain ground, letting go of storms and stressors. Creating this space with this root system of mangroves for the brain to discharge outdated mental constructs and limiting behaviors. Continue to breathe Earth's energy all the way up through your feet and out through your crown. As Mother Earth continues up through your crown, she draws out of you any and all heavy and dense energies. She goes up, 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 and she connects with Father Sky and lovingly embraces Father Sky. And as she lovingly embraces Father Sky begins to drop down into your crown, bringing cleansing and healing and refreshing energies into your body. Father Sky comes in as a cascade of white light and waterfalls and clouds and lightning, zapping away that which no longer serves you, bringing in those soothing energies of beautiful clouds on a gorgeous sunset, bringing in that majesty of the white rapids and waterfalls like Niagara Falls, bringing that energy in through the crown, hydrating the brain with healthy energy, blessing all of the cells of your body, all of the water molecules of your body with this healing energy of the clouds, of the waterfalls, of light. Bringing in Father Sky through the eyes and the ears and the ear canals, through each tooth and the enamel of the teeth, shining up the teeth and healing the teeth, and illuminating the teeth, as well as the ancestral lines and the different degrees of separation that your soul is healing in this lifetime in regards to unity, consciousness, and love and source. Bringing in Father Sky's energy through the throat, shoulders, the arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the webbing between the fingers. Bringing Father Sky's energy all the way down to the bones of the body, strengthening the bones of the body, cleansing the bones of the body, lighting up the bones of the body, replenishing the bones. Father Sky's energy goes through the chest, the heart, lungs, rib cage, each vertebrae of the spine, through the stomach, the liver, the gallbladder, all of the organs, just like how Mother Earth went through all of the organs. Father Sky goes there too. Through the intestines, the colon. Father Sky goes through the pelvis, the tailbone, the hip sockets, the IT band. Father Sky goes through the inner and outer thighs, front and back side of the thighs. cleansing and refreshing and revitalizing and strengthening and lighting up. Father Sky's energy breaks up any heavy energies and they fall as sand through the feet down to Mother Earth, transmuted by the Earth Dragons. Father Sky goes through the knees, the kneecaps, the front and back of the knees. Father Sky goes through the shins and the calves and the ankles and the tendons and ligaments of the ankles. Father Sky's energy goes through the feet, the arches, the heels, the balls of the feet, the toes, toenails, the webbing of toes. Father Sky spends extra time with the feet because feet tend to get neglected and not refreshed that often. And then Father Sky drops out through the feet, drawing with him any and all heavy energy your body's ready to release, helping your body detox and strengthen through taking these things with him. And Father Sky drops down to Mother Earth, where he lovingly embraces Mother Earth. And now we set the intention that you stay swaddled in the energies of Mother Earth and Father Sky for the next 24 hours as you integrate this session, trusting that the divine parents of all that is, Mother Earth and Father Sky, will transmute and take care of you, transmute heavy energies and take care of you in the process. Allowing yourself the permission to relax and let go, trusting in the divine parents of all that is as you integrate. Now I invite you to envision tree roots coming out of your left and right foot, dropping deep and far into Mother Earth, further grounding you into place. Setting the intention that as the tree roots ground you in place, they stay there for the next 24 hours as well, discharging any heavy energies, and that they work with the Earth Dragons to ensure that there's not any psychic pollution being sent into Mother Earth. Now I invite you to go ahead and open your eyes, wiggle your feet, stretch your body, and take your time getting up. And then please make sure that after the session that you are kind to yourself and you either do a salt scrub in the shower or maybe you pour salt in a cup and rinse off that way, or take a saltwater bath or go to the ocean. Salt really helps purify and discharge heavy energies and just adds like an extra layer of energetic support and safety and energy work. And then make sure you definitely stay hydrated for the next 24 hours to help the energy circulate and settle, but always stay hydrated because water is good for you. And I will see you on the next session. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself and holding space for yourself today in this way. I see you and I honor you. Be well.